Welcome to Hanging Out with Robert, that's me. This video contains things that I tinker with throughout the day. For step-by-step detailed instructions of those tasks, you can click on the links in the comment section below. I plan on leaving this video accessible for about 30 days. After that, you can view it through my Patreon account. This video also has tips and tricks that I've learned over the years. So, thank you very much for watching. Thursday, I will be leaving the happiest place on earth. I am here with Willie Gillie with his V70 SE 2000 model. And I guess we're going to just say we got a honey-do list to do on this thing. But the main issue is the car is running out of gas at like a little bit more than a half a tank. These cars that are all-wheel drive has a saddle tank, which means it has two sides, and when they have a problem transferring the gas from the driver's side to the passenger side where the fuel pump is, they run out of gas. So there's something disconnected, something clogged, something broken. We gotta troubleshoot it, figure out what's wrong, get this thing fixed so Gilbert can quit running out of gas at 12 gallons. Right now it's full, so you really can't go in the tank. So we're going to figure out how to drain as much of the gas out as we can and troubleshoot this thing. And then there's a bunch of other little stuff we're going to take care of next day or two and get back to Albuquerque. So I think the first thing I need to do is check fuel pressure. If the fuel pressure is real high, that means the system may not be returning fuel properly, circulating it back. So anyway, let's take it one thing at a time, and I need to make a laundry list. Trying to figure out what that hissing, howling noise is. Go ahead and cut the car off. Didn't hear it that time. First thing my mechanic told me to do about this fuel tank there was check fuel pressure. So we went to AutoZone, got a fuel pressure tester. I think we have everything hooked up. I'm gonna go ahead and start the car and see what kind of pressure we're putting out. This is obviously not hooked up properly, so let me try to figure out how to hook this up. Our first go round with the pressure kit didn't work well, so we're gonna remove the stem in there. We went back to the parts store, got this tool for removing valve stems. We're going to relieve the pressure, remove the stem, put some plumber's tape on that pressure kit, see if we can get some pressure read. We picked up a symptom. As soon as you cut the car off, there's no pressure on the rail, so that's not good. We got the stem removed. So now we're going to put some plumber's tape on the thread, put this connector back on, see if we got some pressure on this thing this time. We got that hooked up where we're not leaking, but we don't have any pressure reading. I don't know why not. We should have pressure going there. One of their relief valves must not be pushed in so we can get pressure up here unless somebody already damaged the dang gauge. Crazy. No pressure. As soon as I shut the car off, it's bleeding off. It's like 2 psi, less than a minute. We have no pressure.
Not even a minute, less than.
Yeah, 30 seconds. Okay, next thing we're gonna do on this car is lower this side of the suspension, lower the tank. That's gonna be tough. There's a lot of gas in there because I need to get up here at where those lines are and try to disconnect the lines on this side. This is the driver's side. Get that disconnected and try to blow air in the tank, and fuel should come out of the tank into a container. So yep, it's gonna be tough with all this gas in here. Of course, this is always more fun when you're on a lift, but we don't have a lift, so this, the bolt in between the tank where the viscous coupling is. Same thing on the other side in the fuel tank straps. May end up pumping this fuel tank as close as I can to empty because it's got a lot of gas in there. I broke these bolts loose with my breaker bar and then spun them out with the impact. I got the straps down, and now you can see I can just about access the top of this tank. So the next task is to release these fuel lines from this tank. Now my mechanic told me to get a 2x4, pry it up on the tank, and then put a jack under there and jack a little bit. That'll get the tank down a little bit more. So give me some access to get these fuel lines out. They're hard to get out. Let me get a position and then show you how to get these fuel lines off. I got the fuel line disconnected on the passenger side of the driver's side of the tank, back of the car there. And as you can see, fuel is just running out of there into our container. I assume that's good because it should be able to feed over to the other side of the tank if this is happening. There's a whole lot of gas in the tank, probably 16, 17 gallons. So we got to get a couple of gallons out of here till that thing stops gravity feeding. Then we're going to disconnect this other line over here and put air pressure in this driver's side and make sure it pumps fuel out of the passenger side. So we're still gravity feeding. I have this little screwdriver I bent like that, and so it is a small screwdriver. I stuck that under there. I pulled the fuel line like off as far as I could. I got that under there and put some pressure on the plastic clip, lifting the plastic. If you see the fuel line there, it's got that little plastic release built onto it. So I pulled that up into the fuel line as best I could, and while keeping pressure on that, I massaged the fuel line up and off of the tank. And then because there's so much gas in there, it's gravity feeding fuel into this container. So once that gets done and I get so high that I throw up, we'll work on getting the other one loose and continue with our testing. We also took the fuel cap off of the filler hole over there on the passenger side to make sure there wasn't any pressure or vacuum on the tank. You can also put like a vacuum hose or something like that on there and route it into a pan or something to catch this fuel as well. So you can push a fuel line on that, on the tip of that. So now I got the hose on there, draining it into the container, because when it started getting a little low and the pressure was less, it started dribbling down the tank instead of spouting out into the container. So we are on gallon 3. Now my other idea was to remove the fuel rail Schrader valve, push the hose on there, turn the key on, and just let this pump all the fuel out until it ran out of gas, like it has been on the freeway. At about 7 gallons, it was starting to run out. 7.5 to 8 gallons, and then see where we are from there with the testing. But we're just letting it dribble out of here little by little. We drove about a gallon out of this car. We put about 6 gallons in my car, and now we're down to hey, it finally stopped. So I'm gonna try to get this other side off here and then see if I can put some air pressure on this side, see if it'll push gas out of that side. If I can, that lets me know that the tank system inside the tank should be. Got this other fuel line loose. I think I pushed the clip up there, unlatched it, and then I was able to pull it off. A little bit of fuel came out, maybe 2-3 ounces. Anyway, I put a hose on this side. This is the return line, where the return line comes in from the engine. The unused fuel from the engine comes back into this side of the tank. Then it goes in there through a transfer system and then gets fed out of this line here over to the side of the tank with the fuel pump. So we believe that fuel is trapped over here. So we're going to put 20 or 30 psi pressure on this hose and make sure that fuel comes out of that hose into this container, which would tell us that this side of the tank is working properly. We have this electric air compressor we're going to use to pressurize the tank. It has a little drain valve we close down there, and it's building up pressure. Probably 30-40 psi is all we need. We pumped the compressor up to 120 psi. This knob here controls what you push through the pump, through the hose. So we're going to probably crank that down to about 30 psi. Let me check with the mechanic, hook up the hose, run the test. Tank still has 100 psi. We got this set at 40. I'm going to crank it up to 50 because that's what is coming back to this tank. We got the hose hooked up. We're going to plug this into the fuel line that I got and see if fuel comes out of this hose we got hooked up into the bottom. Alright, so when I give it a blast of air, air comes out into the tank, into our container. You can see the little mist. So the tank on this side should be good. I'm going to check this line from here over to the other side for blockage. This fuel line came loose so easy. I wanted to try to film this for you guys. Man, it's hard to see in there. Anyway, I put my little screwdriver under there like this. I lifted up on it, and as you can see, it pulled the fuel line off. But while I was putting that pressure on there, I pushed down on the fuel line to push it in further, and then pulled up on it together with that pressure, and there it is. Popped the fuel line right off of there. Now that I have this hose, that crossover hose, disconnected from the tank, I'm going to go over the other side and connect that crossover hose back to the tank. And I got that air pressure still going in to the return connection. I'll put pressure on there. It should blow air out of here and let me know if my crossover hose is blocked. I noticed back here that the fuel line and the fuel line sending unit harness is not in the clips there. So I'm going to put that stuff in the clips to help prevent them from getting damaged. Gilbert is going to pressurize that inlet coming from the return. I hooked up the hose that comes out of the tank on the driver's side and feeds over to here. So when he gives that a little pressure, we should hear air come out of this hose here. So go ahead, Gilbert, give it a little bit of air. Yep. So that hose is clear. On to our next possible issue. Now that I know that the crossover line is empty, I'm going to pull this pressure hose off of the tank. I'm going to plug that return line back into the tank on the driver's side. So both lines are going to be plugged in on the driver's side. I'm going to leave the crossover line disconnected on the passenger side. I'm going to try to start the car. Hopefully we got enough gas in the tank to start the car and see if fuel comes out of that crossover line. Let's see if we can work that out. I don't know if the car will start with the tank leaning like it is and all the gas we drained out, but we really should still have a half a tank of gas. Let me turn the key and see. Alright, it says we have 6 gallons. The car is on ramps, and we're going to try to start it once I hook up the driver's side of the tank for that crossover network, and I'm going to leave the crossover line disconnected on the passenger side. These lines connect real easy. I just got it over there, pushed it on, and the line popped right on. It's got a little bit of play in it, but the clips keep it locked on, and the seal keeps it from leaking. So this side of the tank is hooked up like it's supposed to be. That side of the tank, the crossover line is loose. We're going to try to start the car. With the car running, fuel should be pumping out of that crossover line. Hopefully we got enough gas in the tank that the sending unit will pick it up and run the car. It is coming out of the crossover hose. Willie Gillie says it sounds like it's running better. So we're going to shut the car off, hook this back up, and start the car again, make sure we don't have any leaks. Then we're going to put everything back together and drive it around, see if we can drive it below half a tank. Alright, so when you're hooking up your fuel lines, this is how it sounds when it clicks into place. That's it. It's on. You can try to pull it, it won't come off, and it shouldn't leak. The seals inside the line should keep it leak free. We don't see any leak in there. We're going to go over to the other side, make sure there's no leaking on the other side. Doesn't appear to have any fuel leaks on this side either. If you feel that this information was useful, please like it and share it with your social media friends. You can subscribe to my channel so that you will get notifications of future videos that I post. You can follow me on Twitter, and if you need to contact me directly, please visit my website. And if you have any questions, leave them below, and someone or myself will reply to them. Again, thank you very much for watching.